Alright, what is up YouTube? And today we got a brand new episode of the Imaginarium Theater. This one took a couple attempts. This took a while to clear. We got Electro, Cryo, and Animo today. And while I do have Cryo and Electro elements built pretty well, characters from both of those elements, I don't have a lot of Animo, and the Electro and Cryo I have built are not built like absolutely perfectly. So that was one pitfall I kind of ran into a bit. And it took a bunch of attempts, and I'm happy that I was even able to get it done. I got Ganyu right away. Usually you see me using up my trial characters immediately. That didn't really happen today. Ganyu was the one I kind of tried to use up instantly, because there's not a lot of time in the Imaginarium Theater to sit inside of Ganyu's like bow and arrow thing, so we just try to get her out of the way as quickly as possible. Sucrose, we had to take her catalyst and give it to Nahida, so we also are trying to get her out of the way because she was not going to be worth much later on. And for me, I had to save up Raiden for the last 2 acts. Ayaka was another one I tried to save because she is pretty good. I don't have her built as well as she could be, but bottom line, I really needed her later on, and you really need a powerful Electro character or a Hyper Bloom team on the Act 4, which is the Dendro Turkey Bird thing. So I kind of saved up. I was really fortunate and got Jinkyu, Nahida, and Kuki. Those were the ones I used against the Dendro Bird. And because you just need to use Electro to get past its shield, then it's crippled on the ground, and then you can go hog wild on it. Phrasing. But I also had to use that later against these water creatures, and you get a free Hydro application off of them, so it's really easy to Hyper Bloom with just Nahida and Kuki. And then I also had Lisa on the instructor set to buff Elemental Mastery, so we got extra damage off of that. And then I think I just used a throwaway character. They nerfed my strat on the Protect the Monolith round. They did not have a slow single target, at least all of the many attempts it took me to clear this, but I was still able to clear it, and I was able to use a good team. Kind of my throwaways, but also not, because it was a pretty good team, and I wasn't just running around trying to buy time. I did clear a lot of the monsters, so my brain is fried going through this because of how many attempts it took me, so I apologize if it's a little lackluster. I didn't even do a face cam this time because I wasn't feeling like it. I was just feeling droopy and tired and saggy after this long-ass attempt. But alas, we're here, and we cleared. You're watching it, so we cleared it. I pulled for C3 Sitlali yesterday, and I don't say pulled for C3 because C3 was the goal. I just drained my entire Primo Gems. This is the Dendro Turkey I was talking about. But I drained my entire account of Primo Gems to try to get her C6, because no matter what team I use, whether it's Utao or whether it's freaking Malvuika, or even a different team, she's pretty much great on, because she can use this Hero Center City set, the Tenacity the Millilith set, or I should say and her shielding's pretty good. Pretty much no matter what on my team, I'm probably going to be using a Hydro or Pyro character, unless it's Mono Geo, or unless it's an Imaginarium Theater like this where neither of the options are allowed, I guess. But yeah, I wanted to get C6, drained like probably 25,000 Primo Gems, got C3. It was a lot worse luck than I usually have, but I know it could have been a lot worse still. So we will probably keep pulling for C6. I know Yelan will be coming back out soon, and I also wanted Yelan C6, but it's not as big of a deal as Sitlali, I feel like, because I can't use Yelan in many teams as I can Sitlali. So that's the plan, and then after that, I'll probably just save up for Signora and try to get C6, Signora, R5, if that ever even becomes a reality. We don't know if Signora is ever even going to be playable. Right here you can see the Protect the Monolith challenge. One of the, usually the ones I struggle with the most. This time it was not the hardest. It was honestly just pacing myself. And I felt like my Hyper Bloom and Raiden team were going to be my two best teams on here. And that's honestly probably the truth. But I had to use the Hyper Bloom team really early. It wasn't like there was one act that, like, Act 1 was really easy and Act 10 was really hard. They were all probably like a 6 out of 10 level of challenging, instead of starting at like a 2 out of 10 level and ending at a 10 out of 10 level, in my opinion. So it really was just the characters I had to use. I had to make sure every team I had was pretty good. There wasn't a lot of throwaways I could utilize. And I did have a super team, and you'll be able to see it in Act 10 that it is pretty easy to clear once I have that super team on the field. But right here, this team is also not bad. We got like a mono Electro trying to utilize the Verdescent Venerer with Hyzao, which is absolutely not what I usually use him for. I usually have him on Wanderers with another Animo character on the team. But I had to get creative because Animo is not my strong suit, and you know, this has been eye-opening. Maybe I should have pulled for Chaska, because that definitely would have helped my Animo. Animo is something I kind of need, dang. Maybe instead of pulling for C6 Silali, I'll pull for C1 frickin' Chaska. And then after that, I'll save for Signora. It'd be a pretty cruel joke if they just dropped Signora right after I drained my account multiple times. There's been no sign of her release. I'm sure we'll get some characters teased pretty soon here. It's usually around this time we get the huge dump of characters that will receive banners in the Cryo region, because this is the last Natlan update. So we should be seeing some cool stuff coming up in the future, and I'm hoping for Signora, but I'm not gonna hold my breath either, because I've been disappointed before, and I need a couple characters. I need some Animo characters, so it might be worth my while to just pull for them instead of saving up constantly. Dodging Skirk, dodging Escoffier, that helped a ton, saving wise. But now it might be time to spend. And you know me, I don't have a problem with that. And then this one right here, we went with a Ganyu kind of hybrid team. Like, this was one of the supercharged teams, and it worked out kind of well. Actually, no, this is the one I was talking. The supercharged team is next, I think. But this is the one where I used up my Hyper Bloom, and I was super hesitant to do so because I was like, I am definitely going to need this down the road. But it was too convenient because they were Hydro creatures, so I got to Hyper Bloom off of them, and I got to save Jin Q for another round. So it was literally just too convenient for me not to do it here. And you'll be able to see it in a little bit. I was able to do DPS Hyzao, which is really cool. My first couple attempts, I did a DPS Hyper Bloom Eula, which was super fun, and it worked. But I wasn't able to use it second time, and I didn't use Eula at all second time because she was one of the last people I got unlocked. And you know me, I love an opportunity to use characters I pulled for and built that aren't really meta. I think that's the one really cool thing about the Imaginarium Theater, is it gives some characters an ability to be meta again. Not always, and I think the Imaginarium Theater definitely kind of pushes you to pull for the newer stuff, which I don't like as much. I talked about this like every upload previously on this channel, how Hoyo is kind of catering the meta very strictly. It used to be just lightly around. Used to be lightly around the new characters, but manageable with the old ones. Now it's very hard with the old ones. Manageable is being pretty generous. but we still had a good time, and we still cleared it. It just took us multiple hours, and just drained us. I also enjoyed being able to use Yay Miko or whatever, the Electro woman who's zipping around, Catalyst. I have never used her before other than a trial, didn't pull for her. She looked like one of the least cool characters at the time she came out, which was a good time to be playing Genshin. The whole Inazuma update was freaking sick. That was probably my third favorite region. Fontaine is always going to be my favorite Genshin update, and Leeway is the second. But Inazuma, we had Ito, Raiden, Kazuha. That was a peak time. Right here, you're seeing the DPS Haizao, which is pretty fun to run. And I'm really happy that I was able to clear this boss. I don't think I've ever cleared a monster, like, big boss in Imaginarium Theater or Spiral Abyss using DPS Haizao. And I pulled Haizao C6 so that I could make him a DPS long ago, because I thought he was really fun to play. And back then, you would see a lot more people using 4-star teams in the Abyss. That was back when it was just the Abyss. And you'd see, like, yeah, 4-star Spiral Abyss clears. And I never really made it that far. I definitely always had to use a 5-star. But, and I definitely do, because of all the Natlan characters you need in the current meta. But, you know, I'm sure there's people still clearing with a entirely 4-star team. Just not me. Here is the Ganyu Supercharged team that I was talking about previously. This is where we got our first use out of Kazuha, and then we had to put him in the back pocket and save him for later. If you look closely, you'll actually be able to know that you'll be able to see that I'm using whatever that Battle Pass sword is on Kazuha, and it didn't need to be that way. I accidentally left Kazuha's sword on Kirara. I think from the last one, maybe even 2 Imaginarium Theaters ago. But it was whichever one you needed to have a Dendro character, and I just swapped their swords, and I didn't realize that this whole time Kazuha hasn't had the right sword. For a little he had an umbrella, then I gave it to Kuki, so now he has, I think it's called like the Iron Fang or the Black Fang or something like that. It worked, but it wasn't the right sword at all. And I probably could have been doing even better here. But this was definitely one of the easier clears, and I was pleasantly surprised at it. After this, I think it is a more challenging one, if my memory serves correctly. It is, yeah, this is the Magu Kenkai. This is the one I absolutely needed Raiden for. There was no other team I had on the account that could clear it this quickly. And I didn't even clear it that quickly. So, we're using we got Sitlali, so it's not a traditional mono Electro Raiden team, but, Yay Miko. Never used her with Raiden, so this was a fun thing to try out. And we got Kujo Sara C6, we got Raiden C5, stopped at Constellation 5, because I realized Constellation 6 didn't seem that important, especially for the team rotations I have, so I didn't pull for it. Maybe one day in the future when I have everything I need, I might go for it, just to say I have it, just because Raiden's one of my favorite characters in the whole game. Probably top 5. Probably goes like Hu Tao, Kaya, Ito, and then Raiden for me. Maybe Kazuha before Raiden. But that's definitely the sum of it. And the next one, we went Ayaka. The next one was a pretty hard one because you have to defeat 3 of the samurai dudes in a pretty short period of time. And I wanted to save Raiden for the last round, just in case. And I'm glad I did, because it was a super easy clear with Raiden. It's that Hydro/Animo lion from Leeway from a couple years. It was a slightly newer ad, and usually Cryo is the, I think, preferred element of choice against it, but I was like, I feel like I can just clear it so much quicker with Raiden than I can Ayaka. I just had this gut feeling And I went with my gut, tried a couple times on this Act 9, and eventually was able to clear it with Ayaka. Not easy peasy, but we did get it done. And we had Raiden for the last one, and thank goodness, because it was a good clear. I'm going to talk about my artifacts right now because I have it sped up at the end, and you can slow it down if you want once you actually get to that section. I have it timestamped as always, but my Ayaka is running Blizzard Strayer and Animo Koguchi. Really low investment build. A couple characters I leveled up to talent level 999, or at least close to that. Keking did. I know, I can't think of who else. I leveled up Sucrose. Almost called her Sucralose, like the freaking artificial sweetener. But even though it's a 3-star weapon, I needed to get her elemental mastery up. All my Animo characters are on Verdescent Venerer. Most of my characters are either on Noblesse, Instructor, Tenacity of the Millith, or Hero Cinder City. Only one Hero Cinder City this time around. Nahida is obviously on the Gilded Dreams, I think it's called. No, Deepwood Memory, I think. Whatever the Dendro buffing one is. Raiden and Kujo-Sara are both on Emblem of Severed Fate, and Raiden has the Engulfing Lightning. Ganyu is on Wanderer's Troop still, and Ayaka's Blizzard Strayer. Kaya is on a combo set. I'm trying to think of anybody I might be forgetting about right here. Kuki is on Gilded Dreams. You can artifact sections here, so you can take a look for yourself, a little looky-loo. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Good luck on your Imaginarium theater attempts, and I hope it goes smoother for you than it did for myself, because this one took a little too much time out of my day. Love you guys so much. God bless y'all. Peace out. I will see you next time.